Some they call it functional alcoholism, but if you know anything about Ben, he's got vision with precision, microphones and a tinkle of derision. You're about to hear what beer can be. It's time for Barley and Me.
Welcome to Barley and Me. I'm your host, Ben Rice. This is episode 122. We're here today in Chico, California at Secret Trail Brewing. With us today, we've got the owner and head brewer, Charlie Barrett.
That's right. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And also our special guests today from the rock band Surrogate.
Woo. Yes.
We've got Daniel Martin.
That's right. Thank you for having me.
Keys. Not a last name. This is just, he plays keys. And Michael Lee.
How's it going? Thanks for having us.
Guitar. Surrogate. Rock band. Great band.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love your band.
Thank you.
I was like,
very much.
I have an idea for a guest. They weren't available. I'm like, going to Surrogate. That's that's absolutely what I'm going to do.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
Great.
We appreciate it.
Love to be second choice.
I mean, look, I have to be very clear about things. I'm like, look, it's Nick Stiles was my first guest because he runs the Gnarly Deli. And I've known him for years, so I'm sorry.
Cool.
He gets first go. He's constantly here at Secret Trail, serving up delicious sandwiches.
And a great guy.
Yeah. Super fun to talk to, super weird dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
super nice and mellow, though.
Yeah, right, but also very strange, and I love him to death.
That's the way we like him.
Yeah. So, got to get it out of the way, Charlie. How's business here?
It's doing great. We're having fun. This is my dream come true, and I think people really appreciate having another alternative or two now in Chico for craft beer, and it's been really a lot of fun, so I'm really liking it. It's a lot of work, but I'd rather be doing this than anything.
Yeah, and that was a pretty bold move. You were the first brewery to be like, you know what? I think Chico needs a second brewery.
Yeah, that's about right. And I was a longtime home brewer and just decided, I'm not getting any younger and might as well do my dream while I still have some years left in me. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. Really so nice to meet all these people and just share some beer and talk about beer and anything. So it's been great.
Was there any trepidation when you were starting that maybe there would be like a little bit of rejection because of, the one brewery in Chico?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning saying, are people really going to put up with another brewery when they got a really class act here already? And so, but we just felt confident and went for it.
Yeah, and it's turning out great. I see you guys everywhere. People love you.
Getting around, yeah.
Yeah, when people are like, where should go in Chico? And they're like, Secret Trail. Stop by Secret Trail. It's
cool. Thank you.
Really awesome. So that's exciting for you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So what made you, what were you doing that kind of led you to be like, I'm going to pursue this dream?
Well, I think I brewed my first batch of homebrew about 30 years ago and really fell in love with homebrewing. And just kind of in the back of my mind, it was always like, someday I want to do my own brewery if I ever can. Because I think a lot of homebrewers have that dream. And life went along, kids came along, and I kind of fell out of homebrewing for a while. But I got back into it about 9 or 10 years ago pretty seriously. And that's when I really decided that this could maybe happen. So I was at a job I wasn't particularly fond of, had a little bit of money to roll into this, and just decided to do my dream, because why not, So.
Yeah. And I think all of us have a dream of some sort. For instance, you guys decided you would be a band.
Yes.
As an your dream,
we did decide that.
But is it, though?
I think it was an easy decision to be a band. As far as living the quote unquote dream, that I think that takes a lot more effort. But I think for the most part, we've always been pretty content to just be a band and play some shows around and travel a little bit here and there and just have fun doing it.
Yeah, it's a pretty low, I don't want to say low commitment, but I mean, everybody's on the same page in our band. And there's not that 1 or 2 or 3 guys who are like, we're going to get signed, we're going to make it big, we're going to tour the world kind of thing. I think we're all very content with where we are. And so, we've been a band for how long? I don't even know.
2006, technically.
Yeah,
What's that,
so
14 years.
And I joined in 2009, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's definitely lower barrier to entry kind of dream than opening a brewery.
Oh yeah, but there's a lot of bands out there, so there's a lot of competition. Whereas there was really only one other brewery at the time.
It just happened to be the most massive competition you could possibly face.
Right.
It's like, we're just going up against Metallica. It's not a big deal. We'll be fine. Yeah, so can people that are not aware of Surrogate kind of explain what you guys play, what's your style, what's your draw?
Don't look at me for that one.
Yeah.
So
let's get into process. Let's get real deep on process.
We always get asked the question, what kind of music do you play?
And
I don't really know.
I don't know either. I'm like, it's very hard to describe. I'm like, this song you could say it's this, and this song you can say it's this. I always love when you can just be like, well, it depends what song you're listening to is what we sound like.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That tends to be, we tend to be question that sometimes, having songs so different on albums. For example, a country jam versus some straight up just pop song, and putting them on the same album. So it's good to hear the feedback of like, no, it's fine, it works.
It's like if you had to do like kind of a dream pop indie hybrid thing, is that okay to say?
Absolutely.
With and occasionally you gotta have that booty shaking rocker going. You gotta throw one in there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We try to diversify our songs.
Diversify those bonds.
Diversify your bonds.
It's like going to a brewery. Like, what kind of beer do you make? It's like, well, there's all kinds of different varieties of beer.
Yes.
To make.
Yeah.
There's a brewery. I go to Avila Beach a lot, and there's a little brewery or little whatever there, and they only serve sours. And I'm like, come on, like diversify. Anyway, so I don't know if it's.
But I mean, at the same time, if you're gonna make sours specifically, you've got to like lean into it.
I guess though,
because there's a demand for there's a very specific market for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why? If you're only doing that, why would you ever do something else?
I guess that's true. I think, and I could see it maybe like in a bigger city. It's just Avila's this tiny little beach town.
Yeah.
Thing. Not to, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah.
Well, a lot of people ask me like, well, what kind of beer do you make, or what are you good at, or what are you known for? And I'm like, well, I don't really have a particular style. I just like a lot of different beers. It depends on my mood, and it depends on it's also depending on what people like and buy. But I found that out kind of the hard way. You always have to have about 80% IPAs, but I do like having a bunch of different styles just to keep it different, and one for the lady that doesn't like hops, or the guy that doesn't like hops, one for the guy that doesn't like dark beers, and one that loves dark beers, something strong, something wimpy. So I think that's what makes us kind of cool, is having about usually 12 different styles of beer and maybe 20 different actual beers. So that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. I liked walking in. So I just did an episode with Farmers Brewing.
Okay.
And they're like, you need to try their Baltic Porter. I'm like, that should be easy to spot on your menu. You have three. You have three Baltic Porters on. That's because it's winterish.
Yeah, and that's the one style we like to play with the most so far, at least. And we like to flavor some. We like to do one on nitro, some in bourbon barrels, and so it's a good style to kind of do things with.
Go ahead.
No, you.
So I'm the guy who doesn't like hops.
Okay.
So thank you, first of all, for having things that aren't so hoppy. Maybe a weird question, but like, do you see like forecasting the future of beer? It's surprised me so much how hoppy beers are just the thing. So I go to bars to get a beer, and it's so difficult to find an ale, which I like, or porters or stout or something like that.
Yeah.
Looking into the future, I mean, not that you have a crystal ball, but do you feel like the hoppy beers is just kind of the new standard, or do you feel like it's a trend that, or do you have any insight? I don't know if that's
I feel in my gut that it's going to be around. It's been around quite a while, and I think even the hazy IPAs are going to be around. I don't see them going anywhere, but I see there's more lagers coming on the scene, some pilsners, and some more darker beers. There's a lot of pastry stouts, which I think that might fade away, but it also might not, because some people make some really good ones, and like for a dessert beer or something special and rare, But I don't know for sure. I think the hops, there's not going to be I see it not going away. Is my short answer.
Yeah,
no, making a long answer.
No. That's good. It's good to hear, or interesting to hear from someone who owns it, because obviously that's what you're looking at, is like what's next year going to look like and things like that. So.
Yeah, we like lagers, but they don't sell nearly as well as an IPA.
Yeah,
but you still have to. I think you still have to have one or two around at least. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for people that don't like quote unquote beer. You got to have a lager for them, something they're familiar with.
Or people that only know lagers, they say they're coming from whatever, Corona or Miller, and they say, I don't like craft beer. You say, well, try this light lager. It's a Kolsch or whatever, or Pilsner, and they'll probably like it.
Yeah.
But they've never been exposed to it. So
Yeah.
Right.
Try this amber lager. You
Yeah.
had a Modelo? Try this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird world because like you have to address everybody that comes in the room.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people that come in and say, "Do you have any wine?" And
Oh yeah,
that's when we usually say, "No, but we have a Berliner Weiss that we can flavor with some syrup, and you might like that." And some ladies have been converted; they didn't like beers, and they had that, and now they're drinking even the darker ones. So I feel good about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. You could probably throw that Doppelbock in there a little bit as a kind of a wine feel to it,
Yeah.
a wine aroma to it.
And a lot of ladies like the barley wine
Yeah.
because it's not hoppy and it's drunk, almost like wine. It's 10%.
Even though it's super hoppy. But
Yeah, well, this one
Berries
isn't.
it.
This one, this one's more of a malty barley wine.
yeah. Little English style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which we were talking about that you have an English pale on.
Yes, we call it an English pale. It's actually technically extra special bitter.
Oh, you can't sell that.
Yeah, I
you
know.
can't say those words.
We actually had it called that, and then we changed it to British Pale Ale because people don't like the word bitter anymore.
Yeah.
So-
Even though it's so bitter.
yeah, it's not bitter.
It's
but
not. The
okay.
ESBs are incredibly not bitter. They're incredibly
Oh, okay.
malty and like aroma forward.
it's super ironic because they're usually low alcohol, low hops, but that's just what they were called traditionally in England.
Oh.
And so, but you call them
but for centuries, back when there was like no bittering,
right. They
like
did-
just having bittering at all was like that's bitter.
yeah, I mean, hops didn't hardly even used to be around back, and then they started doing this IPA stuff to India, and they actually put more hops in it, and that's what started people's taste buds loving hops, and then it just took off when American craft brewers got a hold of it and added more hops and more hops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is you have to remember that when the ESB came out, this is the same time when people were like, black pepper's too spicy. That was the world that it was introduced into.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
their idea of bitter is not at all what we
Right.
currently view as bitter.
Right.
But it's still like it's a shutdown word. You can't have it there.
Yeah.
Because-
And we learned that after a while. It sat up on the board and people weren't ordering it. And as soon as we changed it to like a British Pale Ale, which technically it falls in that, you could call it that, and we do.
Yeah.
But then people were ordering it because they know what a Pale Ale is. And
Yeah.
so now it's moving. So interesting.
Weird. But it's like it's a hoppy beer.
It's not very hoppy.
Not
It's
very
it's
hoppy,
around 35 to 40 IBUs,
Okay.
which is lower than most normal IPAs.
Okay.
West Coast IPAs. So
Yeah. It's going to be very malt forward, very flavorful, very
yeah. Just
strong aroma. But it's great.
Hell yeah.
Light drinking too. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
What's your favorite type of beer?
That's a tough question because I like so many of them. Like I said, I like a lot of different styles. I don't know. I can't really answer that. It depends.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, if it's well made, I'm gonna like anything.
Yeah,
but it's like, oh, I love stouts, and then like, here's this terrible stout, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll drink. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna
it's
do
not
that.
like a one size fits all.
Yeah.
But it's like saying, what's your favorite song? And it's like, well, what's my mood? What am
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How am I
Yeah.
feeling right now when you do it? Like,
Yeah,
what's the
that's-
occasion? Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. But I think if somebody asked you that, you'd probably have an answer. But that doesn't necessarily always apply. If they put it on, you're like, I don't want to hear that right now. It's like, what is your favorite song? I'm like, well, I'm not really in the mood to listen to Stairway to Heaven right now. You know?
I'm never in the mood.
Very rarely in the mood for. I'm like, honestly, well, my brain's not really firing for like a good song right now. But I'm like, what will general listeners know as a song that is not for every moment? Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Not for every moment.
Correct.
Definitely not for every moment.
As far as this goes, when we're talking about, how you deal with customers, how do you as a band kind of deal with approaching fans and people who are potential fans? What are your goals when you're thinking about marketing Surrogate? I'm sure you guys give it so much thought. You're like we play the song. Yeah, you're like you play the song and they like it or they don't, and then we sell the album to the people who like it, and we don't sell the album to the people that don't.
Well, that's even if we bring merch to
Right.
sell.
You schedule a show. You hope people show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's your fault, and sometimes it's just coincidence that there was nobody that wanted to go to a show tonight.
Yes.
No,
It's- yes.
our marketing is very limited. Currently, it pretty much consists of a couple of social media posts when we are playing a show. We've done a little bit. We've been recording a new album for the last 3 years.
We're releasing it song by song.
I noticed that. I was like, a lot of
slow
singles in 2018.
That's right. That's right.
It's going to be an
Then it kind
album.
of dropped off. But yeah, really, our marketing is pretty much what Instagram and Facebook posts here and there when we do things. We've thrown out a video here and there, but we're not very good business people.
Oh yeah,
That's not true. Actually.
feedback
That's
is
true.
not
Yeah,
our
as far as Surrogate goes, though, we don't put a lot of effort. Michael Lee, sitting next to me, is actually a very good business person. But anyhow,
Yeah.
Thank you, but I'm not with Surrogate.
Right. It's so weird. Like I was at a podcasters meeting the other day, and I was listening to people like telling us what their podcasts were and what questions and issues they were facing and like tricks they'd found. And I was listening to this person describe a podcast that they were doing. I'm like, oh, I know exactly how to market this. I could get you so many. I'm like, I got this. I can get you ads. I can get you all this stuff. And then I'm like, what about Barley and me? And I'm like, oh, I hope you find out it exists. Bye.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to just like self-promote.
It feels wrong.
It feels wrong.
It feels very wrong.
Yeah.
Do you have that same problem, Charlie?
You're
like, no.
As far as self-promoting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, I do because I'm pretty much a humble guy, and for me to try to say anything like, oh, our beers are great, but that's what you need to say. I think they are, but I wouldn't go out there broadcasting that. So, but I like word of mouth. That's our best.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's how you got to
especially
do it.
in Chico.
Yeah, and we, honestly, at this stage in our growth, we're only 2.5 years, not even quite. We can't afford a whole lot of advertising, so thank God for Facebook, and Instagram, and just word of mouth. Because,
But that pays dividends so much in this town. I own Momona, the restaurant.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. Well, part own. There are 3 owners, but yeah, we don't do a whole lot of advertising, and just. I mean, obviously having a good product is number one.
Yeah.
Of course. But word of mouth, like that gets around. You have a good product. It's kind of like that product centric advertising where it's, I guess Sierra Nevada is a good, I don't know if I can say that here, but I don't know if that's like a.
You're totally fine.
Okay. He can always edit it.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a search function for breweries that are not on the show that are mentioned during the show, Sierra Nevada's number one.
Okay.
It's on probably 80% of the episodes, like because it is the model. It's what you're shooting for.
And they,
If you were going to idealize yourself,
and they had that product centric model, and then obviously word of mouth, and then whatever, and so it's kind of same thing.
I don't think they advertised for a long time.
Just recently.
Maybe
feel
not.
Like
Yeah, maybe even
because they have to reestablish their brand because people are like, oh, that's old stuff. I don't drink that.
Yeah.
Boring old pale ale anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we have this hazy little thing. We got this Sierra Vesa. We've got all these things that we need to like remind people that we don't just have pale ale, but we also the pale ale you love is still available.
Right. Your dad's beer and your beer, at my age, it was my beer.
Yeah,
is still there, but
yeah. You've got.
You're right. They are kind of like the model, the Ken's kind of always been my idol. Because the way he still treats his people, the way he started from the bottom and just built a great company. So and I finally got to meet him when we did our Paradise Strong release. So that was like
cool. Okay.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's still around. He still talks to all the brewers, and he's always down to talk about business and brewing methods and stuff like that. Super chill dude. So I hear. I should probably go back in time and be like, by the way, I said, they're talking about, but they're not on the podcast. They've been on the podcast. I'm very happy, very feather in the cap, very excited about it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Sierra Nevada. We're here to talk about their strongest competitor.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Their nearest threat.
I will say it has been cool just to see Secret Trail beers in other establishments. I feel like I just see it more and more as I'm out, and it's fun.
Great.
I had one. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I had one just last week at
that's all right.
bar.
No, it's great.
We have it in Momona.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You guys are one of our best customers. Actually,
Yes. Thank you.
At this point, I need to point out we need to mention a second venue. Okay. Otherwise, I have to cut your name, and it's a whole thing. It's a regulation with the ABC. You can't give laudatory statements to one. You can do two.
That's true.
You can do two.
You'll have to cut that, huh?
Nope. We will figure a way to talk about a second venue.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me. Explain this.
He's got a good point there. I should.
Because I think I did it with Farmers by mistake. I meant to mention that I'd seen it on tap somewhere, and he's supposed to go, yeah, I did. And I don't think I named the place, but then he named a place, and it's dumb. It used to be you couldn't do it at all. Okay. But now you can do it as long as you do two or more.
Really? So he says, this is at Momona. We also have to say Secret Trail is also here.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which actually, it's at a place that's about 300 feet away called the Commons. So, just so you know.
How many places are you at?
In Chico, we're probably in about 35.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's
Like
pretty-
what?
Huh?
Name a third and
Like,
fourth and
like
fifth
where?
venue.
Oh, well, we're at the Handlebar.
I think that's where I had it just recently. The Handlebar, Chico.
Yeah. Last night I was at LaSalle's. I had one of my Trail of Darkness porters. So we're
Nice.
And I was at Duffy's last
That's
night.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Duffy's were in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee,
Yeah.
sure, everywhere.
So
But it's a
everyone-
weird thing. It's interesting. I don't think most people are aware of it. And, when you first open a brewery, you're not aware of it unless you do a bunch of research. But there's something called basically the separation of the beer manufacturer. It's called tied house rules.
Yeah.
So you have to have 3 tiers. You have to have the manufacturer, distributors, and the retailers. And none of those can be tied together because then it would create an unlevel playing field for another business in that same venture. In other words, you couldn't have the manufacturer also be their own distributor because then they would have a toehold on that.
Who gets beer delivered
Well,
to them.
although in California you can self-distribute. A lot of states you can be your own distributor like we are. But you also have distributors and retailers which it can't be tied together and give an unfair advantage to those. They can't like team up.
Yeah.
So it's called tied house rules,
Yeah, and
ABC.
And it's a weird thing to watch that kind of meld because it used to be really strict. Like you could not have sold your beer self-distributed like 15 years ago. That would not have been a thing you were allowed to do.
I think in California you could have, but
Yeah.
some states, all the states are different.
Yeah, they're slowly like loosening like what is the tie, like what makes it a tie that would be a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And the regulations are constantly changing about
Well,
it.
yeah, and there's certain rules about social media too. Like one of them was just on the air. You can't say just talk about one. At least you can't say something like they're the best, which I did. I said the best account, but we have lots of good accounts. So, but you can't because of what's doing is giving you an unfair advantage from
Right.
another. Yeah,
makes sense.
An item of value.
Gotcha.
Is that limited? Pretty limited to breweries, or are these regulations?
These are alcohol regulations.
Okay.
So it's an alcohol beverage.
Interesting.
C.
But they are a little. I think they're all a little different for wine and spirits,
Right.
and they all have
Yeah.
their own little glitches and
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange, but it's always like they're always changing because, like back in like 2003, they were very restrictive, and then like brewers are popping up. Like it used to be, you couldn't be in a place that wasn't industrial, you couldn't be in a residential area, you couldn't be in a commercial area, you could only be in an industrial area. Then they're like, well, maybe it's okay. And it's just like constantly changing.
yeah, and
You have
that's
to keep
pretty
up.
much like city by city or county by county.
Yeah,
too,
and exactly. And it's like you got to know exactly where you are, and
Yeah.
it's like some places you can do this, but then you move, a mile west, you can't do this
Yeah.
thing, and you have to know that, and it's like fines, and it's just a wonderful. It's not a quagmire at all.
It's
It's not it's just something you got to work through. Like we had to work through the city council to do our style where we have food trucks and not a regular restaurant, which if we did that, we'd be called a brew pub. And that's that was fine. That was on their radar. But having a tap room without food and just having food trucks, they were like, what? That can't be. That's not in our. So we had to convince them that it's good for Chico and it's not a bad thing. And once they looked at it and thought about it, they pretty much said, okay.
Yeah.
But
Really?
that still took time.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's a slow changing machine.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think in the music industry, you guys are facing a similar thing where like regulations change, not necessarily regulations, but the way that people consume your product has
God.
changed.
Yes.
Totally different. I mean, I feel like we're even late to the game, releasing songs as singles or one by one.
Right. I was like, when I saw them, like, oh, they're changing their tactic. Very smart. Like this is how
10
people
years
do
late,
it.
but good job.
Yeah.
We've even had the conversation, if we do finally finish a full album, we've talked about, releasing it on cassette and vinyl. Because those are, if you're going to do anything physical, it's kind of like the throwback.
You can't do a CD. Nobody's buying
nobody,
those.
Yeah, nobody wants a CD.
But they want like a cool thing they can show their friends.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
cassettes are back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Finding somewhere to play the cassette.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a little,
That's a whole
that's
other
a
thing, yeah.
challenge.
But the thing is, you just give them a download code, then they have this cool thing to show their friends.
Exactly,
You can do the label. I miss sleeves. They're so cool.
Oh, yeah,
And like
yeah.
digital just doesn't have it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love.
I'm a
going
big
through-
fan.
Yeah. So
But
like
it's such a
the
dichotomy.
fold out, you can have it be just one fold. It can be 3. It can be like 18 folds. You can do whatever you want with
yeah.
it. It's so cool.
I remember, with CDs specifically, I was super pumped every time I got a new CD open it up, pull out the sleeve, unfold it, and you just follow along with the lyrics and everything. I don't know.
We're dating ourselves.
And now you have to guess.
I know.
I think this is the word. So then you got to Google it, and then you got to. I'm
what
going
is
to have
that?
all these ads to deal with. Thanks, song, lyric, whatever it is.
I can't sing along
do
to
it.
anything
Yeah,
these
no
days
idea.
because I don't know the lyrics.
That's probably right. That's fine.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Can't even sing along to our own songs
Yeah.
because we don't have sleeves with lyrics. I don't know.
I don't remember. I haven't been poring over these as I listen. I don't have to just go from muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's a very weird world. I remember. I always tell a story when cassettes come up. It's because it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. There was this back in the MySpace days. So early,
yeah.
the
Now
early
you're speaking my
internet.
language.
We had one.
There was this French electronic artist who would put out like EPs that were like 4 or 5 tracks, and he would do collage artwork, and he'd be like, "We'll do 3 or 4 different covers, for each release." But for his tapes, he would take tapes that were in his collection and just record over them and send you that. So you'd pull it out and it'd be like a Janet Jackson tape, but it would be his music
That's
on it.
amazing.
And I was like, that's good.
That is awesome.
I'm sure what he did is he actually just split it apart, took out the actual tape, put it in his stuff instead of recording over it. But it still was
Right.
a very cool,
Yeah.
I always loved that. So I always ordered his EPs. I'm like, I know I got to pay the international shipping, but this is fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 2004. This is a fun, dumb thing. I had a tape player just for them.
Specifically for that one.
Yeah, just for that, when that guy sent something out. I don't remember the name of the artist at all now because I'm cool like that. But that was just such a dumb, fun thing. I'm like, when you find out that it exists, you're like, I need to have it.
Totally.
And so that's kind of what you have to do is find a way to be like, I need to check this out.
Yeah.
And then it stops working. And then you're like, I don't know what to do now.
I give up.
Yeah. So what tactics? I know we kind of broached the singles, but what are you guys doing to get ears back on you as you continue your path?
I don't honestly. It's just not a main focus as far as gaining new fandom. We're of course playing shows and talking about playing all ages shows because that's a thing that whatever. Just to get the younger generation into our music, but admittedly we're not super hyper focused on marketing and things like that. So we're just right. I mean, we're very truthfully though, we're very product centric in that regard, in that we love spending time with each other, just being in the studio recording. Chris Keene does the majority of the songwriting, and then we kind of come in and figure out where the details and where everything else should go, or add layers and things like that. But really, that's our main focus, and hopefully that if people like it, and they come to our shows and they buy our stuff. If they don't, then it is what it is.
Hey, they bought a ticket or they listened to it, and that's good enough.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
Yeah. And there again too, word of mouth. It's Chico. We're not planning on touring and doing all these other things. So having a fan base outside of Chico, though, would be ideal. It's not a huge
focus.
concern.
Yeah.
So,
it's if it happens, great. If people send me a email like, "Hey, I listened to you out here in Lawrence, Kansas,"
Yeah.
cool.
which we get those.
We do.
Random emails.
Which is fun.
It's awesome. But I think that the focus for us, especially at this stage in the band, is just making good music. That's the point. The more fans we have, the better. But we're certainly not the type of band to write music for the fans,
right?
In the sense of not to say it like that, but
right. It's it's for the fans to listen to, but I'm not with what you think they want in mind.
Yeah. It's not like we're
Trying
not
to
all
build the
we're not all going to become DJs tomorrow. You know, to be like, this is what everybody wants now. So Surrogate is just a group of 5 DJs.
Yeah.
That's actually not.
Although,
It's now that we're thinking about it, I always said it out loud. It would be easier, but harder, but easier. Yeah. When I was in college for a year, and my first major was music production. So I was I'm not a musician. I like knobs. I like making things sound good. I think I'd be good at that if I had the techniques.
Yeah.
And one of the projects was you had to do an electronic project. You had to make electronic music.
Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna brag or anything, but mashups. That's what I did in 2000. I was doing mashups.
Dude,
Right.
you're kind of ahead of the game a little bit.
I was like,
absolutely
Groundbreaking.
yeah. And it was fun to watch how a drum beat can affect what you would anticipate as pace. because I used a Ben Folds 5 song,
Yes.
but I put a rap over it,
Awesome.
and it sounded like he was rapping through mud.
Oh,
Like it was like
wow.
the slowest. I didn't do anything to adjust the speed, but just putting that behind it just slowed it down so much. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. This is very cool. And then I stopped. Because like it's 122 credits, and every class is 2 credits.
Yeah.
And you need to
Yeah.
know how to play 3 instruments very well, and these guys only need to do the one that they're doing. I'm like, I don't want to play instruments. I just want to make the instruments sound good. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
least amount of credits I can do to get a degree? English and history, just so you know.
Actually, psychology, and that was my major.
Really?
I was social sciences.
How
and
many
I'm
credits
I'm right
was it?
there.
It was like
You.
13. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
It seems like a lot less than you would think for that particular.
It's really only 2 classes.
Yeah, I think it was like 32 credits, and every class is 4 credits. Like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. Oh,
one,
yeah.
one a semester sounds great. Let's go.
That was my college career.
Yeah.
But what'd you say about that? With music production these days and it being so digital, it is so different and so fun to just be able to click and drag things around, kind of in your experience too. Of just, it's a totally different way of writing music, and I'm in love with it, and that's why, truthfully, the time in the studio is so much fun, because it's, I don't know, you just kind of nerd out and write music digitally, on the computer, and just move. I don't know. It's a lot of fun.
And like it's faster, it's easier, it's more efficient, and it's cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be so expensive
Yes.
to do anything.
Yes.
Like you'd go in there and it's like, this is $1 million studio, and you're like, this is a $6,000 studio, and it does everything that $1 million studio used to do.
Oh yeah, these days, $1,000 studio anymore. But
Yeah.
totally,
Wow.
you're right. You're
And it's like what, on one board or something, like
Yeah.
so, or
just a
mean,
computer,
it's-
really.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
You
Not even a
99.9%.
not even a
of
mixing board or anything.
Yeah, how many instruments are you playing into it right now? That's how many inputs you need by.
Yeah.
It's like, it's insane. It's incredible. Like I remember when I bought this thing, the Zoom H6. They're like, back in my day, all these guys that were like, I'm like, 50, 60 years old, been doing engineering for. Like, this is like $35,000 in equipment, and it's $400. You're like, what
Yes,
is
right.
this? You would need all this stuff for this little tiny box you carry around.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah. So that's kind of how beer's going. Just used to be. No, I don't have no idea.
You're like, segue.
You need to buy so many of the same thing over and over and over again, and now you get little small bits of things, and they get you. It's probably worse. I don't know. There's no tether. I don't know why I tried to make one. It
Beer,
doesn't exist.
making beer hasn't changed, thank God,
Yeah.
for a long time, really. But so you do need good equipment. It is expensive, which is kind of a hard thing for a lot of homebrewers to get their dream on board. Is to how am I going to afford to buy all this really nice stuff and make really good beer and make enough of it at least? And so that's a big part. And that was a big part of our thing, is first of all finding the right building, but then finding enough money to get the equipment to fill the building, and then so it's a big commitment as far as equipment, because you got to make enough beer to make it worthwhile, and you don't want to have cheap equipment. I mean, it's one way to do it, but it's not the way I want to do it. A lot of guys can start a brewery on a shoestring and kind of put it together with duct tape and baling wire, but it's just, I don't know. I'm not.
You're taking a risk.
Yeah, well, it's just,
And
I didn't want to do it. So, but there's a lot of guys that start small and then do that, and God bless them. But I just couldn't see myself doing that. Maybe I'm too old already.
You're like, it's
57's too old to do that. Maybe
all or nothing. You're like, I'm not going to start small and hope I can grow. It's like,
Right.
be big. That way I can fill it when I need to.
Well, at least be medium, or at least be something
Yeah.
you can keep up with demand.
Right, because I know a lot of people that started small thinking, well, we don't know if this is going to be successful, but once it is, they're like, well, now you've got to find a new location. You've got to buy all this new equipment.
Right.
And like, you're going to, and while you're building that out, you're paying rent on this first one, so now you're just doubling your cost, tripling your cost.
Right,
And you can
yeah.
just like start
Yeah.
where you think you might end up.
Right. The one big piece of advice everyone hears when they're trying to start a brewery is go as big as you can afford, because people are probably going to like your beer. That's what you always hear. And if they don't, at least, I don't know what to say to that,
Right.
but if they do, at least you can provide enough of it to make some profit. Not brew 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on your
Tiny little, But believe in yourself. Bet on yourself. That's what you're doing when you go into business. You're betting on yourself.
Exactly.
So why place a small bet? You're like, I'm going to bet on red. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of guys, and it's great for them if they can have a job and open a brewery at the same time. A lot of guys do that because it's less risky, and they can start small, and that's another way to do it. But again, it wasn't my way. I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And you had the freedom to do that. So you're like, I have the time. I have the resources to just dive in.
Yep.
You're going to take it down. It's already a beer town. All you got to do is be like, hey, my beer too. And
right.
you're
Yeah,
like,
but it
oh,
is a risk, and it's still a risk every day. So it's
Yeah.
always a challenge. But what the hell? It's fun.
Yeah.
What the hell? It's fun.
It's what, I mean,
Hell yeah.
you gotta do your dream. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not doing it, what are you doing? If you're not pursuing a passion,
Yeah.
what are you doing
Yeah,
with your life? Like, and you can always do supplemental things to help you out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no requirement that you have to do that full force and like sink or swim. You can find a flotation device.
Yeah. I didn't want to get really old and look back and say, God, I wish I had done a brewery, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I would have kicked myself. So now I may kick myself for doing a brewery, but at least
But at least
you did it.
You did it.
You did it.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
I
There's
did
no,
it.
There's no like, would it have worked? You're
Yeah.
like,
there's it's not if. It's
Yeah.
you have a concrete answer.
Failing feels so much better than the what if.
exactly. I
Like,
think
even if I fail,
I think
whatever,
so, yeah.
At least I fucking tried.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wish, for me personally, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. I wish I'd found what I was good at and liked at the same time a lot sooner than I did. You know? Because
That's everybody, dude.
yeah.
Come on.
Well, I'm just like,
But yeah.
because I'm like 37. I'm like, I don't think I ever had a passion that I was like actually pursuing until I was 30. You know? I was like,
Same.
just,
And that's still pretty young.
yeah,
I mean,
right. And it was still very tepid. You know, and it still is tepid.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, at least now when I go, I work the job, it pays the bills, and then I go and I like live the things that I want to do. And that's like, before I'm like, I would work a job I hated, and then I would sit on a couch and watch TV, and that's not a life, you know? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and I'm like, these are things I truly enjoy, and I like, it's fulfilling, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's good that you have the opportunity to do it. You know, even if it's you have to do the work part, do the whatever, but you still have the time. I mean, it's similar music for us. Of course,
Right.
we don't make money playing in a band, so we do the other things, and that's the passion for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Which I guess leads to my question. The name Surrogate.
Yes.
It's like a surrogate income. It's a secondary little.
Income is
It fills a void in my heart.
yeah.
I hope I have the definition of surrogate correct in my head. But
Yeah, we don't. I mean,
Go ahead.
I think I understand the definition of surrogate, but
the meaning.
the meaning behind it as a band name, I don't think exists. So.
there's no. It was just that was before my time, so I joined the band after. But yeah, Chris has said it's just a name that I just thought of. So
It's a cool name.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Which is
it's worked well
yeah.
for us.
One word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
Easy to
word.
remember. You know it.
But I feel good about it.
Here's a funny thing. We often get on our Facebook page
Yes.
messages from random women
I'm liking. I know where
around
this
the
is
world
going.
who just write us and say, I want to become a surrogate. How can I do it?
As in,
in
I
like
want
a
to carry
surrogate.
somebody else's
Yes,
baby.
and it's just like, and it's gotten to the point. So Daniel Taylor handles our Facebook page, and it's gotten to the point where he just what does he respond? Sounds good every time. He just says, sounds good. Like no matter what the like request or whatever. Like how do I become a surrogate mother? I want to become a surrogate. He just replies, sounds good. We get one of those probably every a couple months. Or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
You know, I'm just gonna reverse engineer this name. I know you guys didn't really have any say in it, like you're saying. Daniel had the other Daniel. There's too many.
So this one was actually Chris, as
Okay,
far as the
sorry.
name goes.
Chris,
But I
okay.
know.
Yeah.
It's
hard to keep up.
Yeah.
The one non-double name first name guy.
Yes, exactly.
I like to think that he was like starting out and he'd try to get gigs and they were like, no, sorry, we've already booked. Oh, somebody dropped out. Can you fill in? It's like, oh, I'm a surrogate. I got it. I'm just a fill in on these lineups.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it happened.
Look at me. I'm a genius. Just work it backwards. I can work it backwards. I'm like, let's draw from scratch. I'm like, no idea what to do. But all right, guys. I have a terrible notice. I noticed this happened to all of us at once.
Our glasses are empty.
So does anybody care for a second thing to do?
I certainly wouldn't turn it down.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back. We have a brand new beer that listeners are already familiar with.
The brand new beer?
Yeah, the Kenting Days.
Oh, Kentish Days, yes.
Kentish Days, there we go.
In our glasses.
We have a new beer.
A new beer.
Unfortunately, they don't have it unless they come and get it, but we have it.
Yeah, I like it because these are all independent choices of what to drink next.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we heard this beer, and we heard it wasn't bitter, and that it's different than you'd expect it to be, and now we all have it. So, what are your thoughts on this? I know you were reticent, Michael.
I got a different one.
I thought we all.
What is that? Oh, the Kentish. Oh, you got the Winterfall. It's almost the same color, but it's a little redder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I love
Well,
it.
then
hoppy?
never mind.
It's not too hoppy.
Well, this topic's dead. So we almost had
You tried.
convert it. We tried. I thought we converted him. Didn't work out.
Tends to be the case.
He's like, you can tell me it's not bitter all you want to. I'm not going to trust
Sick
you.
when everybody else zags. I'm sorry.
I've met a snake salesman before. I'm not falling for these old tricks.
Snake oil salesman.
Yeah,
Or maybe a snake.
I mean, a snake salesman's probably not much better.
I'd rather buy snake oil than a snake.
I will buy the snake oil to have you please just take it.
Yeah, right. Keep them the hell away from me.
It's like, you don't buy the oil, I give you the snake. It's like, oh boy. Okay.
I'd like to see you get oil out of that snake.
Oh man, what a mess! I don't know what I'm doing. I never know. Well, that conversation's dead in the water, and so I hear just through the grapevine that you have some news.
Yes, we are going to be growing here at Secret Trail a little bit. We're actually going to take the next suite over next to us towards the south, 1,920 square feet, and we're going to take possession 1st of April.
Wow.
And it won't be ready for customers maybe for a little while after that, but we plan to make more tasting room space, a game area for things like cornhole, and then a little platform that we'll set up temporarily for bands to perform, like a temporary stage that we might set up in there and have music shows where we might even charge a little cover and have good bands and great. I mean, we have a lot of good customers, good bands that come and play on Sunday now, but we don't have the space. So there we will have a space for our 5 or 6 piece band and everything. So, and then we also will have more room for storage of our dry goods and a little cold room. And so we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We gotta get it, keep it busy so it pays for itself.
yeah, and it means that you guys are in a position where that's a reasonable decision to make, which means you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. We just didn't want to lose that opportunity because it came available, and we didn't want someone else to move in there, and then we would regret it. Again, it's one of those leap of fates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think of it more when you said you're taking it over, that you're like, get out, it's mine now.
Well, we can say that once they're gone.
I just like that encroaching on people's territory. I don't know why I thought it was like yeah, it's just predatory. Now that I said encroaching on, I'm like, predatory. Nope, that's not the right thing you want to use as a word to describe something. Look, my brain goes somewhere. It doesn't think it all the way through. And I'm like, yeah, this is a funny thing to say. Oh, never mind.
Never mind. I wish I could
Never
take it
mind.
back.
Yeah. If only there was a magical button I could press, a couple clicks, and no
controls
one
you.
knows.
But someday, speaking of stages, we want to have you guys come here and play.
I'd
love it.
Chico could definitely use more venues. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
and more
absolutely.
surrogates.
And more surrogate.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't.
We had a
play-
band cancel, so can you guys come?
Yeah, you're our second choice. Welcome.
Callbacks. Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
No, that's definitely a reason, well, not the reason, but a reason why we don't play as much. Is just because there are only a handful of venues.
You can't go to the same place over and over.
over and
again.
over and
Right.
over and over. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's nice. It would be nice to have additional venues.
Right on.
Certainly, even outside of downtown, things like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's
And maybe at one of our parking lot parties, which we're having May 9th, we have a SpringFest, and we have 3 bands that play over in that corner, and we close off the whole parking lot for people just to have a bunch of space to walk around, drink beer, listen to music. We have 4 food trucks, 3 bands rotating through the day, so we have a starting act, a middle act, and then the headliner towards the evening. So someday that would be
Very
cool.
cool.
But
Absolutely.
either there or there, we'd love to have you guys.
Yeah,
Awesome.
either way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very, very into it.
Cool.
Have you ever thought about being like a house band, kind of like in Roadhouse, where you're like always playing something?
Yes.
Yeah? I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but I know a person who owns a restaurant that maybe could have a house band.
Did that name came up earlier, didn't it?
Just like
I mostly just think about Roadhouse a lot. But,
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily being a house band.
just
for
have Surrogate be the house band.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Just annoy everybody with just remember that. So we played this one show, and
Oh my
But like, I love
gosh.
the idea of you're not a cover band. You're like, this is all originals
Yeah,
every
right,
night.
right.
so we played this
Every day we write 3 hours of new material.
we played the show in Sacramento. I can't remember the name of the venue. I don't know if I should say it, but so
I'm like, just tell me the story. I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
oh, it was
I don't-
Goose.
I don't remember.
But obviously
Oh,
not.
Fox and Goose.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
cool.
It was
Yeah.
Fox and Goose.
So we were like, so we never played outside of Chico. We're like, I don't know. We didn't really know much about this place. And we're like, okay, we're going to play this show. And so we sat up and we start playing, and we are playing like from me to you from a table, like a 2, 3, 4 top, whatever table. And people are just like having dinner.
They came to eat dinner and not have
Yeah.
really loud rock and roll music blasted in their face.
I think that, had we been just, kind of like a house type band, a little quieter, we tend to not play quiet. Just
Right.
It is what it is. Whatever, maybe playing covers, it probably would have gone over well, but we're just like,
Yeah,
Right.
they're known for more their folk styling acoustic. That's what they usually have in there.
and
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I do love watching a rock show in there because it is fun to watch the room change because it is people that are like, oh, I'm going to have a nice little pork. What are they called? It's like an English dish with pork. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
And like just all of a sudden there's like this crazy raucous thing happening.
Yeah, it was pretty. Was there an opener for that band? I feel like we were just such a change. I don't know.
Yeah,
either way.
I
It
don't
was-
even
it was
remember
just like,
that there
here's
wasn't
Surrogate. It was like, all right, we're done.
Yeah.
the place was pretty cool though.
It was
a very cool
yeah,
spot.
great spot.
I go to tons of shows there, and it's all
Yeah.
like it's. Here's the thing: you're not the first loud band to play there.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, and every time it's like it takes the venue patrons by surprise, even though it happens once
that's
a week.
That is good to hear. Yeah,
because we felt so bad.
You
just,
never learn.
yes.
just making eye contact with the people that are eating dinner, and they're just so pissed off.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
What they should do is just like make the people stay there and listen, and just like when a dog pees in the room, like rub your nose in it, like so you learn. This is what happens on Fridays.
Yeah.
Like stop coming here and be like, I
Seriously.
can't believe you're doing this to me. It's like it's every Friday. Just learn that this is what's going to happen. It's so funny because I've lived in Sacramento for 17 years. And I've like Fox and Goose is one of the first places that people are like, you need to go to Fox and Goose.
Yeah.
And like it's always like that. Like
funny?
so it's like
that is
17
really
years of just like
funny.
nobody learning. I'm like, it can't always be new customers, right? Like it can't always
I
be
don't-
like complete rookies to the venue.
They must advertise that you're coming.
Right.
But-
Yeah,
Maybe-
there's a board when you walk in. It says what's happening that day.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be a secret.
That might just be their thing. If they like to go eat dinner and
get annoyed.
just make faces at the band and be like, "What are you doing?"
Drums blown out? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and then let's not forget that. Let's face it. As much as I love Sacramento as a food place, as a drink place, as a place to be, it has historically been a truly terrible city for live entertainment.
That's true.
I remember.
It's
Yeah.
kind of rough, huh?
Yeah.
Even booking that show, I remember we didn't know of any other options. It was like Fox and Goose.
Yeah.
So, that was a while ago, but
Yeah. Well, if you just gone a block away to Old Ironsides, they'd be like, "Yes, let's do this."
Okay.
But it's just a super weird thing that I noticed. I remember I went and saw a Boston punk band at Capitol Garage, which is a music venue, and it was like a coffee shop by day, concert by night. And I think Hella was on the bill. Do you guys know Hella?
Yeah.
Zach Hill and what's his face? Other guy.
We've
I don't know.
played with Hella.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude,
Once, I think.
I feel like such a jerk because I always feel like everybody talks about Zach Hill and never talks about their guitarist. And
It's okay.
and I'm like, I
Maybe
forget
we
his
haven't
name.
played with Hella.
But
I don't know. I make things up sometimes.
but
I'm drunk.
But anyway, so this band came all the way from Boston, and they were called Officer May, and like they're just pouring their hearts and souls into this music, and they'd finish the song, and it's like fast and aggressive, and like, but like not like metal. It was just like punk, right? And then there's like, and the place is full. It's full, and people would like just stand there for the show like this, arms crossed, watching it, and the song ends with like,
Yeah.
And so the lead singer's like, "What is wrong with you people?" And like he's like, "Do you guys want to go outside? Because we can take this outside." And like he was so mad about it,
Calling him out, huh?
and like I'm like, and I just stopped. I'm like, "Hey, you guys are great. This is just how this scene. I don't know why it is like this. There's no reason.
Yeah.
It just is. Yeah. Like I remember I saw. Do you guys know the band Man Man from Philadelphia? Super like weirdo, like. Keys, 2 drums, all the instruments in the world. Like everybody plays 5 instruments. They just switch in, and it's like, and it's super frantic. They got a lot of comparisons. They came out to Zappa Beefheart Waits. Like that was the thing. And I did an interview with him. Somebody used to do music reviews and journalism. And I was like, he's like, I get it, Zappa. I'm like, no, actually, I think you guys are much more like Sun Ra. And like, you know, for me, Tom Waits is whiskey and you guys are vodka. Like it's, and he's like, you guys know Sunrise, come on, you want beers? Like it's just like this thing. But I remember they're super energetic band, and I saw them in San Francisco, and the place was packed and everybody's dancing and it's just sweat and heat, and it was like the coolest show because like people were like, there was chairs, people on the chairs, on the tables, on couches, like wherever you could be, they were like just going nuts.
Nice.
And then I went and saw them the next night in Sacramento.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like
Just like golf claps.
30 people just arms crossed staring. I'm like, what is wrong with this? Like, why?
Just brooding.
Why did I just have like the best experience of my life one night previous, and then just like this terrible thing? So
That's good to hear that I'm not that I am the only one, but it's good to hear someone else kind of outside of I don't know.
Yeah.
I just always thought that of Sacramento. I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah. It's very strange. It's a I don't get it because it has such a good music scene, you know.
Yeah.
And they don't react at all, and it's you'd think as things get cooler in Sacramento, you know, they've got really great restaurants, they got Michelin checking them out, you know, and the music thing has not changed.
Yeah.
The live performance stuff has not changed. As like I do stand up, and there's a competition at NBC. It's called Stand Up NBC. It used to be Stand Up for Diversity, so it's, you know, people of color, women, queer comedians can all compete for this championship. That's a nationwide talent search. And the last 4 years, it's been from Sacramento.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
The last 4 winners have been from Sacramento.
Really?
No kidding.
You go to a comedy show, nobody cares. They don't come out. They just like super uptight.
kidding.
It's like really weird.
Huh.
It's like all these things, like you can just ladle all this.
He's just so jaded with the California politics.
Yeah,
They're like,
I mean, I
this.
thought about, you know,
Yeah,
I wonder
seriously.
if it had something to do with,
I mean,
the capital.
Yeah. This is my favorite bad story about Sacramento. It's my favorite bad story about Sacramento live entertainment is, remember Dave Chappelle when he like went on hiatus?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, it's because of the Comedy Central thing. They wanted all the rights to the things. He went to Africa.
Yeah.
Not entirely true. What had happened is he was doing a stand-up tour. And throughout the tour, people were always yelling out catchphrases at him. He's like, hey, please stop. I'm just trying to perform my art. I'm going to just tell jokes. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I know that's why you're here. That's very cool. This is stand-up. It's not sketch. Stop yelling things at me.
Yeah.
And it usually worked. And he threatened to read a book if you were like doing that. And so he was doing a show in Sacramento, and it happened. You know, they're yelling it at him.
Like heckling?
Yeah, they're basically heckling, but they're thinking they're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know.
So they're like yelling quotes from the Chappelle show, basically. So he did the Chappelle
like,
show.
just yelling like I'm Rick James
to get
bitch for like 20 minutes.
Okay, so it's like his own quotes, but it's like, dude, this is not.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing a live show of like our sketches. I'm doing stand up. It's different. So he threatens to read the book. Reads the book. They keep doing it. He walks off stage and quits stand-up comedy because of a Sacramento audience.
Wow.
Sacramento broke Dave Chappelle. Wow. That was the last show he did for like 12 years.
Are you serious?
That's us.
That's a good story.
No, that is
It's a terrible story,
That
but
is
also
incredible.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's always fun to like see what musicians and artists think of Sacramento because the reputation is so bad.
Yeah. The one good show I went to there was a Jeremy Ennig show, and it was really good. And sidebar question. It's a venue where it's like a pizza place on the first floor, and then you go upstairs. And then there's it's like a just a venue upstairs. I mean, it's small. It's like Duffy's size upstairs.
Okay.
Do you know the name of it? Anyway,
Well,
I just forgot the name of it.
the one I'm thinking of, I don't remember it being a pizza place, so that's what's throwing me off. There's a pizza place where there's a place next door. There's like a doorway. There's the same venue, and you can go next door. That's Luigi's Pizza.
No.
But there's a place, it's changed ownership a few times the last few times, so I'm trying to remember what it's called now, or even what I was when I was going there. Yeah. But there's a venue, it's on 21st and O, between O and P. There's the press club across the street, then there's this double thing.
If it comes to you, let me know.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to be
anyway,
because
this is important.
It was such a good show, and it was such a cool venue. And I was like, hell yeah, this is an amazing venue because it's like, I don't know, it just felt like one of those old school. It felt like the place we played in Portland. I don't remember the name of that.
Yeah.
But where it was like, you have the upstairs, it's the venue, and then the
I
downstairs.
love an upstairs venue.
Yeah.
I just, there's something about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like, it's secret.
Yeah.
It's just very cool, and
It just feels like very 90s old school to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And I love it because it's like, it's not a music venue. It's a performance venue where, by the way, they need to make money, so they're selling food and drinks, but they don't want to be like, oh, we're gonna have to set up tables. They're like, no, you want to do that? It's downstairs. Go upstairs for the show. We got a second bar up there. It'll be fine. Yeah. I always love that separation.
Yes.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Church and state. It's very important.
Yes. Business and music.
They do, but like ideally you can do both, and like you can choose when you want to do them. But totally. There's a few venues like that in Sacramento. But if I remember, I'll think of it. Okay. What is that? If I remember, I'll think of it.
If I think of it, I'll think of it.
Yeah,
I won't fucking tell you, but I'll think of it.
Yeah. I was like, I remember that place? That was nice. I think, because there was an open mic there recently, a couple of years ago. There used to be an open mic there. And I remember it was a block and a half from my house. And I was like, I guess I'll go do a set, but I was like, I also really want to like listen to this album that just came out. So I like go up there and I'm like wearing headphones tied to my phone. I'm telling jokes while I'm listening to the music I want to listen to.
You serious?
Yeah.
Dude, that's kind of badass.
I'm like, that was kind of fun. Like, just like,
yeah.
And like, there's always a heckler because there's like a dive bar set up. And I'm just like, I don't care about you. I'd still like do crowd work, but I'm like, I'm listening to the band.
I'm here for you, but I'm not here for you.
I'm an artist.
I'm
This is
here for
art.
me.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I'm like, I'm going to do this set. I'm going to leave.
That's funny. I don't care if you laugh. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
Just gonna go through this, but really, I'm in here.
But it's fun. It's a fun little challenge. Like, can you do it? Can you listen to this album, pay attention to this album, and perform your jokes, and like pause for laughs, and like do everything you need to do?
Yeah.
It's fun little challenges because I don't know why I'm going to keep talking about this. You could stop me at any time. It's totally allowed.
It's your podcast.
I remember I went to an open mic in San Francisco. It was called Pizza Mike. It was at a pizza place. And there was a wheel of challenges that you had to do. So you all spin a wheel, and then you do whatever it says. Like, you got to do a clean set. You got to do joke about this. And there's like, one of them was you have to run around the block before you start your set, so you're exhausted. Like, you get 5 extra minutes, which sounds great. You just run around a block. It's an industrial block, so like you
need like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, you need a good 7 to do the run, and then you have 5 like left. And so there was one where it's like it was a sensory deprivation chamber, and they give you noise canceling headphones and blinders, and so you can't see or hear anything, and you have to do your jokes.
Whoa,
and,
really?
And it's the first time I saw this comic. It's the first time I saw this comic named Andrew Holmgren. And he was so good. Like, he knew his material and how it played in different venues so well that, like, his pauses were exactly where people in the audience were laughing, and for exactly as long as they were laughing.
Wow. No shit.
And it was, like, so good. I was like, oh, man, this guy is great. And I booked, like, 1 million shows. He's been on none of them. But it's only because of scheduling issues. He's very good. But I was like, I love what you can do with, like, the genre of comedy, or like you guys can do things with shows. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff on stage. You can bring props. You don't have to.
Yeah,
but you could. But you could
theoretically.
Like I do. Like nobody's gonna be like, I can't believe this guy's just standing there telling a joke. I can't believe they do this to me. They're just gonna play their songs. You don't have to provide the other things. You just could. Like, there's always a possibility.
Yeah.
I got stuck with the challenge of you must chug a thing of ranch first.
A what? A thing of what?
Ranch dressing.
How big of a thing?
It was just like a little cup, like a little to-go cup.
Like a shot?
Yeah. No, here's the thing. My least favorite thing on earth is ranch dressing. I truly despise ranch dressing. And like I was like, all right, we're just gonna do it. And There's still some in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You'll never
Yeah.
get that taste.
You could
There
feel.
will
I could
always be
feel it
something.
dripping down. It's like I hate this. I'm like, there's a whole sentence about how much I hate ranch. I guess because this is the worst experience of my life.
It's like that scene in Super Troopers where they're all chugging maple syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, got
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Anyway, you don't have to deal with these kinds of terrible things when you're making beer. I hope.
No. Sometimes you have
No
to
dares.
drink a beer, and that's the worst thing.
the
That's the
only
worst
thing we're
thing.
chugging is beer, so we're okay.
Yeah. Which does bring me to a recurring segment on Barley and Me. It's called Spin the Bottle. This is where you make a beer professionally that you're like, this is what I'm going for. I'm going for this style of beer, and something goes wrong in the process. But it's not a bad beer. It's just not what you made, and you have to like rephrase what it is.
Yeah.
Now, we've already kind of talked about the change from an ESB to a British Pale.
Right.
Is there anything else you've done as far as you've made a beer and you're like, this isn't quite what I wanted, or the name's not working?
Yeah, funny you bring that up because we have a
it
beer.
happens to everybody.
Yeah, and it's good to be honest and humble. Hey, Al. Anyway, we had a beer called Hazy Trail, and it's coming back. But the name tells you that it should be hazy, right? We had some issues. We went, it was one of our first beers, hazy IPA, and it was clear the first time we brewed it. But then we got a nice level of haze, and it went fine for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And it's actually one of our best selling.
Yep.
Between that and Bout It. 25% of our sales. And but then it's decided to clear up again on us. And honestly, we didn't know why. We're racking our brains trying to tweak the recipe. And we ended up basically pulling it because we didn't want a beer called Hazy Trail going out under the Secret Trail name and not being hazy. Yeah. So I have some pilot batches going where I'm trying some things, but it'll come back. But that's a story. It's not a funny story, but it's a sad story, but it's reality. And so we pulled it back, and we got to get that haze back.
Dude,
we got to
call it clear hazy, dude. Like crystal clear Pepsi, dude. Come on now. That's like a new thing.
Clear Trail. We want to call.
There you go.
So anyway, for those of you that are listening that like Hazy Trail, it is coming back. We just need to retweak it a bit, we're working on it.
Can I just say you could call it Off the Rails or Off the Trails?
Yeah. Off the rails. I like that one.
On a hazy train. Sorry.
That's interesting
trail.
because I'm a trend follower, not a trend setter. So I'm a big fan of the hazies.
Now,
I know that's the thing.
You got to ask the question.
They're great.
They're great. And so that's definitely a beer of yours that I've enjoyed in the past. And so I had a thought earlier today when I was looking at the
You were
board.
probably wondering where it was.
But I was
like, must have sold out.
So yeah, right.
Must have sold out. Just
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So now you know the backstory on that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's super strange. Because you have a recipe, you make it all the time, and then something just doesn't.
It's
catch.
pretty strange. Yeah. I mean, it might even be the brand of the company that we get our malted oats from, or our flaked oats, and it might literally be that simple. But until I figure it out, it's not going to come back.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun. It's terrifying. That sounds terrible to have a bestseller be like something's wrong.
Yeah. It's also terrible to dump it down the drain when you don't want to sell it after you put work into it. And, But that was our only one that's happened to.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But I think if it's still a good beer, you can always just retarget what it is.
Right.
It's like we just changed a different name, version 2. Clear.
Yeah. Right.
Daniel had a good name for a beer earlier that he mentioned to me.
Oh, good.
It could be bitter, hardly newer.
Oh,
you can cut that out. Sorry.
I don't remember where this is going.
We just out of there ordering beers like bitter.
Bitter. I feel like that's really channeling Daniel Taylor. It's like if he were here, that would be
channels Daniel.
Yeah, I love coming up with beer names, just throwing them out there and be like, I don't do this. I don't know why I'm like, take it. I don't care. Or don't. I don't really care what you do.
I think that's really interesting. And how do you come up with most of the names for the beers?
It's almost like whoever comes up with a cool one, I'm going to go with it, whether it's me or anyone else. And we had a beer, let's see, Out of Your Element. Okay, so that's an interesting name, right? Like a beer called Out of Your Element.
Yeah.
But the reason it happened is we have a heating element in our hot liquor tank, and it's electric. And one morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning, it just went pop. And Jake, my assistant brewer, and I, we went, what the hell was that? And we figured out it was the electric element had shorted out. It had so much minerals built on it through our brews then we don't do the same method on that with the minerals. But anyway, so that's what it shorted it out and killed it. And so we had this 35 barrels, which is like 500 gallons, actually more than that, like 1,000 gallons of hot water sitting there. And so I said to Jake, I said, well, we might as well make a beer because otherwise that water is just going to cool off and it's going to go to waste. And so we came up with a recipe that like in 10 minutes, brewed it, got it out there. It was a pale ale, hazy pale ale, and we called the beer out, and the server came up with a name. We told him what happened, and he said, oh, just call it Out of Your Element.
Like, Donnie, you're out of your element.
Yeah. So that's a cool story about names, but really it's almost whoever comes up with it. If it,
that's kind of great. That's
yeah.
I love it.
Bout It came about because we had a food truck guy that we were trying out. He was a wood-fired pizza guy, and he was a little different and strange and way out there. But when he showed up and he was setting up, he goes, "Oh man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm about it." And I looked over at Monty. I looked over at Monty, and Monty said, "Oh, that means he really wants to be here. He's about it. He's so about it. He's about a place." I wasn't real hip, and so, but he said that'd be a cool name for a beer, and I said that is, and so we named a double IPA About It. So that's, if you're ever wondering where that name came from, that's it.
That's a good story.
And he ended up not staying around because he was just too out there, but he was about it, but we weren't about him.
Yeah, you were not about it.
Yeah. He was about that particular day, that particular location right now. He's very here and now. He's not thinking about the future, making sure replicatable success. But yeah, I mean, you hear that, you're like, that's gold. We've got it.
Yeah. But names are actually, that's one of the funnest parts.
Yeah.
It's also one of the hardest parts.
Oh, yeah.
But if you come up with a good one, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And at first, like when you guys are writing songs, like you write a riff or something, you're like, yep, we have a song. We're gonna take this. This is fire. We got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's even interesting, I guess. We do have to deal with that with the naming of songs, and obviously there's usually some lyrics built in that you can kind of, pick and choose from, but it's an interesting process, and it's usually just us sitting around in the practice space, throwing things back and forth.
Yeah, and then if it hit it
just,
against
spaghetti method.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. But it's so nice when it hits and you're like, got it.
That's it.
That's it.
And then do you have to look around and see if there's other songs called that at all? Like, or are you just free to name whatever you want? I mean, do you ever think about
song name? No.
We don't
No?
do. No, not. I think
Okay.
I think the test is just the five of us.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, oh, actually, there's a song called that, obviously we wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we just go with it. And
Yeah.
there probably are.
Yeah, they're probably. It's more what you have to worry about, of course, is band name and then maybe album name.
Maybe album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Maybe.
not song names. Okay.
Song names, not so much.
There's so many. There's billions of song names at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't be like, oh, they already named a song called Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot of 1 word, 2 words. So it's like, it's like, well, you better find a bunch of synonyms and then derive that from the previous Latin. And now we got a name here.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. But I always like creative process because you have to. Sometimes let's face it, you have to force it. You have to be like, we have to write a song, and it's like because I'm a very lazy writer. I'm a very lazy. I'm like, if it doesn't just come out fully formed, I'm just not going to write the joke.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you can't do that if you're going to really push this. You have to turn it into gold. You have to spin it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'd rather just wait for it to show up. And if it doesn't show up for 6 months, it doesn't show up for 6 months.
See, I'm that kind of writer. Chris, who writes again the majority of stuff, he can just write. He's good with deadlines. So if he has a deadline, he can not to say that he forces it, but he's good at
under pressure.
Yeah, creative writing, regardless, maybe under pressure, whatever. But I'm a little bit more like you, where sometimes I just have to put it on the back burner for 6 months, and then hopefully it'll
just show up.
Out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to get out of that. I'm like, maybe I should just sit down and do the work.
Do
the work.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you having I'd like to brew an IPA, but I don't really feel like I don't want to think about the hop profile.
Right.
It'll come out. It'll come out.
It'll figure itself out. The path will present itself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just throw a bunch of stuff in there and hope for the best.
Did it work? Well, whatever. It'll be good later. I'll think of something else that'll make that really pop.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But I always say for jokes, I'm like a failed joke is just a tag for a joke you haven't written yet. It's like it's a good idea, it just didn't work in its full. But like the basis is something good, and you'll write a joke that's similar that you can like. That's a good line to like build it. Like, that's what'll happen.
Music writing is very similar too. Like a lot of times there will be a hook that you'll write, for example, and you'll kind of maybe try it. For example, a chorus that has this hook or whatever, and so you try it with this verse and try to make a song out of it.
You're like, it doesn't work.
But you know that part's good.
It's good,
but
it's
the verse not so much.
The structure around it is failing you.
So oftentimes you'll kind of just keep it there for a while, and then as you write other songs, you might say, okay, this can fit here, or maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But definitely, I think good songwriting comes with that is having those little bits and pieces. Right?
Because it's not linear. If it was like you're going to play the same 3 chords the whole song, you just need the good 3 chords. But you need to have everything build to each other and like connect. And so sometimes it's just like it's not connecting. This part is good, and then I'm gonna say that as Sweet Hook 3.
Exactly.
And then when I have a thing that I'm like, this is pretty good. I think this will work with Sweet Hook 3. Do we have to cue up Sweet Hook 3? I think this works.
Totally.
And it's like it could be a month later. It could be 3 years later, and you're like, yes, I found a spot for Sweet Hook 3.
Yes, that is exactly how it works.
And that's the most beautiful part of creation. I think is just. Nobody's perfect, but everything that you do that's quality will find a way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
like Jurassic Park.
I just watched that video. Sorry. Jeff Goldblum, he's like, it finds a way. I'm not a good impressionist.
That was dead on. All right, I think we have to leave. I think ownership's over here. Like, get out. And
people want our table is what it is.
That's what it is.
He's like, hey.
Paying customer. No.
The penalty of success is you're not allowed to do certain things anymore.
Yes.
So before we get out of here, what do you guys have going on? You got anything exciting?
We have a show May 30th. At Maltese. We're booking other shows before then, or likely going to play a show at Argus before then, but we don't have a date set. But yeah, Maltese, that's what's in the books is Maltese, May 30th.
It's like a anniversary show for them, so it's kind of a cool...
Maltese anniversary show?
Wait, is it their 10 year?
Okay. I think it's their 10 year.
Yeah, I think it's their 10 years, so it'll be a...
Fun.
Those guys are great. I love that bar. It's a wonderful spot.
Yeah, it's a great spot. Love it.
And then where can people follow you online or look for your new stuff or what's going on? Where can they find you?
I don't know. Google us, probably.
Google Surrogate and just see what happens.
We're on the Instagrams and the Facebook at Surrogate Music. No, I don't know.
Or band. One of those. Search both.
URL is surrogatemusic.com. Instagram is _surrogate. Facebook is, I don't know, just search Surrogate. You'll find us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody knows. This is my favorite part is like I one day I'll learn to be like, just, hey, double check your social media because I'm going to ask you. But I never do. And then but when I do say it, like, no, we know it. I'm like, all right, well. So it's one of those, if you mention it, it's, look like an idiot for saying, like, just so you know, you should know this. And then like, oh boy, here we go.
It's probably smart though, because I know, I feel like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, that's very cool. And look for a new album at some
in the next few years, probably.
Yeah.
Well, we're releasing, song by song. So look for new songs.
Look for new tracks, hot new tracks,
hot tracks.
Yeah.
A lot of hot tracks coming out.
We've been. I will say that we got together a couple times recently to try to make a little bit more progress in that area. So
we've got
good. I'm feeling good about
3 songs. I think that we're fleshing out to basically release as singles
in the works.
As we go along. And that's to be on the album Magic Mountain, which
Space
is
Mountain.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Magic Mountain's the other one.
My bad. That one's copyrighted. That's right.
So is Space Mountain. I'm like, this doesn't change anything.
We're screwed.
Both of these seem
Six Flags. No, I don't know.
What is the name of our album? Oh my god! Please cut that out. Anyway, on to you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Next, our biggest thing coming up is May 9th, our SpringFest in the parking lot, what I talked about earlier. And so we do have beers coming up every once in a while, special new releases, and we are going to start canning again for those that liked our cans.
Everybody loves cans?
Awesome.
Yeah, we're going to do Delta Breeze and Green Gate, and possibly New Leaf, but Green Gate's a real popular one, so that'll be coming up in probably the next month, hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then where can people find Secret Trail?
Where can they find it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Physical address, social media. If you want to name some places.
SecretTrailBrewing.com is our website. And then Facebook. I just do a search for Secret Trail.
Nobody knows their Facebook.
That's at Instagram, right?
Instagram is the at.
Yeah, that's. But basically, we're on Facebook and Instagram, and
You'll find it.
It's
Yeah,
located South Chico.
yeah, we're on 132 Myers, Suite 120. We're in the red building right across from Lovely Layers and catty corner to the Commons and down the street from the substation. For those of you that know that,
Yeah,
for those of you that like sandwiches.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yep, and here at Barley and Me, you can follow Barley and Me across social media at Barley and Me Pod, consistent across all platforms.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You can email me at barleyandmepodcast@gmail.com. I didn't do a good job, but it is barleyandmepodcast@gmail.com. But I also then got barleyandmepod@gmail.com. So both work. I corrected the problem. You can check out our website, barleyandmepod.com. I don't know why you would. There's nothing there except for a link to the podcast you're currently listening to. I do like that it says, thank you for browsing, get home safe. You'll see why in a moment. Yeah, and the upcoming stuff, I'm sure there's something. So I guess that's it for episode 122 of Barley and Me, Daniel Martin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Michael Lee, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Charlie Barrett from Secret Trail Brewing, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Oh, not a problem. It was a joy.
All right.
And thank you for listening. Get home safe.